You lover? Yeah, you're a lover. You smell like dirt. Well, that's because I'm a dirty dog. Oh, yeah, I'm a dirty doggy. You really do smell, though. Like, what is on you? You're sleeping outside tonight. I would never. You would not put me outside. That is animal cruelty. It's going to be 60 degrees outside tonight. That is too cold for a dog to sleep outside. Hey guys, welcome to Tiny House Customs. I'm Dan, and I have told many jokes that are not going to make it into this video. They were funny. They made me laugh, and I wish they could make you laugh. If you want to laugh at the videos, join me on Patreon, because the unedited version of this video is on my Patreon page. It's going to be much longer, so if you want to see the unedited, PG-ified video, go check me out on Patreon. Link's going to be in the description below. So in this video, I'm going to be installing the wall boards on the inside of my tiny house. Before I install them, I want to put a finish on them. I have several coats of finish that I want to do on these boards, but I want to get them whitewashed before I install them. So what a whitewash is basically a stain that you apply to wood. So when you put it on, the board is white, but you can still see the wood grain. So I've probably watched hundreds, if not thousands, of videos about tiny houses on either YouTube or on TV. And generally on TV it would be like a couple looking for a tiny house. And there's always, like, you know, one person wants one thing and one person wants the other thing. Personally, I feel whitewash is a good happy medium for people. You know, guys would generally want all wood inside it and make it look like a wood cabin, and then women are more likely going to want a white finish on the inside of the house. I agree with both. I want wood, but I also want a white finish. The white's going to be a brighter finish, and it's going to give me an opportunity to use darker finishes for the trim and some of the finish work that I'm going to do. So just like the exterior of my tiny house, I want a superior finish. So I went with General Finishes Whitewash. General Finishes was nice enough to send out what I need to finish the interior of my tiny house. They sent me out their whitewash product that they have, as well as a high performance water-based top coat. This is basically just a clear coat that you would put on top. And I have done tests on this already. When I whitewash this, I might leave a little bit of brush strokes on the wood, but the top coat, clear coat basically, smooths it out and really makes it pop. It looks absolutely beautiful. If you are interested in purchasing General Finishes, I found the best way to buy this was on Amazon. You can buy it in a quart or a gallon, and they have a huge list of different types of finishes. If you want to do color, they've got color paints, stains, oils, finish, any type of finish that you would want to put on the interior or exterior of your tiny house. They've got what you need, and it is a superior finish. It's not your DIY or Home Depot, Lowe's cheap brand. So I would highly recommend General Finishes. Okay. Now, General Finishes does have instructions on the back on how to apply this. I have been referred to as millennial, so, you know, instructions and being told what to do, they don't work well with me, but I found a way that I enjoy applying it, and I like the finish that it gives me. But they do say to apply it with a foam brush and then wipe off the excess with a cloth. So I was editing this video and I felt like it would be important for me to show you what it looks like when you do it the way the manufacturer recommends you do it. So I'm going to really quickly just do it for you and show you what it looks like. So I've got a foam brush, not like this is a foam brush. The one that I had, I used, stupid, I know. Now I would assume you put this stuff on real thick with the foam brush, but I found the roller you could get it really thick, which I'll show you in a minute. I could see possibly doing 2 coats this way. So I'm going to apply a good coat on there. Good. It's trash. It's wasteful America. And then I'm just going to take a clean rag and wipe this off. So you can kind of see the difference. This is before. This is doing it the way the manufacturer recommends, and this is what I did. You can still see the grain. I know on camera that it's failing to capture it because of the exposure, but in person, you can, well, that sucks. But in person, you can really see the grain, and I kind of like it a little bit whiter than the way the manufacturer says to do it. But I guess if you put several coats on and did it that way, but you're ultimately going to end up with a finish very similar to this, I would assume, right? That's a cool little sample though, don't you think? Can you see the grain? Doesn't ever capture it. You can kind of see the grain. You can kind of see it. Do you see it? You see, like, can you kind of see it? You see the difference? I'm creeping, I know I'm creeping. I'm happy with what I end up with. So let's get back to the video. So the wallboard I'm going to be installing is just a clear pine. I bought this at Lowe's. Extremely expensive. Clear pine is very expensive. If you have knots in wood and you do whitewash, the knot is going to bleed through a little bit. It does add character to your house, so depending on what type of finish you're going for, a knotty wood would work fine. You can get this a 12-footer for like $7. These were $12 each, so pretty expensive, but I'm going for a clean, modernish, I don't even know what the term would be called, but I'm going for a certain look, and so I wanted clear pine, so I spent that extra money. First thing I'm going to do is just wipe this down with a clean rag, make sure I don't have any dust or debris on it. Debris, yeah, that's a word. If you Google it, you can find out all about debris. Now, I have found some boards have like blue marks in it, or just marks from machinery that has touched it. You can either sand that out and make it smooth so it goes away, or when you go to install the piece, you'll see that, cut that section out and not install it on your wall. But that all depends on what type of finish you're going for. So like I said, I'm just going to use a regular roller. So I'm just going to roll this on to give it a nice thick coat. You got to be careful with this step though. You can get a little too aggressive. Make sure it's not too much. That's perfect. Now, since the tongue is going to be, it could potentially be exposed with expansion and contraction. I want to make sure that that's got a good coat on it. So I'm going to make sure I hold this on an angle and get that completely, as well as the groove side. Cover that completely. Make sure I get a nice, decent coat on the entire thing. And then right after I apply it, I'm just going to come back with a brush and smooth this out. I found holding the brush at an angle helps. Now, you don't want to apply so much paint to the wood that it covers up the grain. The whole point of a whitewash is so that the wood grain bleeds through. You can't really see it on camera, but I can see the growth rings in the wood and it comes through. So I end up with that like happy medium that a lot of people want. You know, some people want wood grain, some people want white. This is a perfect midpoint for married couples. I'm not married. No, I'm not sad about that. Oh God, it's amazing that I've made it without that. So I have installed drying racks in my shop right here. You can see these boards here. So I can put the boards in there to dry, as well as outside I've got two 16-foot boards sitting on top of some 55-gallon drums. So I can put these on there. I've got a lot of wood to finish, so I'm not going to bore you with that video. But when we come back in 2 seconds, I'm going to be installing this stuff. So let's go install this. But honestly, I'm not going to. I'm going to sit out here and paint for like 2 or 3 hours. But I'm so glad that I'm done filming that. Oh, that looks like shit right there. This is not an accurate representation of what it actually looks like. But if you are in a relationship arguing about white or wood, whitewash. Great compromise. Gentlemen, save your marriage. Whitewash it. Can I sit here?
Well, yes I can.
So if you watched my previous video, you know that I've already completed this one wall. So when I started this wall, I started at the lowest point in my house, which is in my bedroom. I did a full piece down there, and then I came up from there. The reason I did that is because I have different levels where this transitions up to here, as well as down onto the kitchen floor down there, which you can't see, but right down in that corner. Now, since I have this done, I have all these numbers that I need for the rest of this house. Right here, for the living room, I'm going to rip a piece like 2 inches. It's going to be a little bit more because of the tongue, but 2 inches to the top of the shoulder of the tongue. And then down here, I had 1 3/4 inches, I think. So when you start doing your tongue and groove on your walls, make sure you start in your lowest point and work your way up. And then if you have the same scenario that I have, where it's different levels, which you probably do in a loft, this way you have smooth pieces running all the way across the whole house, and all these joints will line up in the corners. They're going to line up on the opposing walls, as well as all the way across to the other side. So
it'll be pretty seamless. Now, if you're off by an 1/8 inch, the eye's not going to really tell that. Now up top I had a rip. Now that cutoff from that rip can be used to start my other pieces, because that was the groove. I cut off the tongue, so I got a tongue for here. What brand is that? It's no brand. It must have been on TV. Maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. So I have recently ordered my hardwood flooring for the entire house. Very nice stuff. It's absolutely beautiful. If you follow me on social media, Facebook or Instagram or Twitter at Tiny House Customs, spaces, some don't have spaces, some do. You're gonna have to figure it out. There's differences. You know, if you're on one of those, you should know how to do it. But it's Tiny House Customs. So you can follow me there and see like behind the scenes pictures and stuff, like real live up-to-date stuff. Okay, onward and forward. So I know the thickness of that stuff is like a little bit less than 5/8 of an inch, and I have done a lot of research about installing hardwood floors, and I know that you need to leave expansion and contraction gaps. Since the trim I'm going to be doing on this, the baseboard trim, I'm hoping to do a 1/4 inch trim. I need more of an expansion gap than that. I probably will do a 1/4 inch since it's such a small space. They recommend doing a 1/2 inch, but that's for a very large room. This is obviously not large by any means. It's small. Hey, I've got to compensate. So what I did was I had that 1 3/4 inches on that side. I ripped off another like 5/8 of an inch off the bottom, and then I cut these little shims right here. I cut those ripped those at 5/8 of an inch. So I'm going to put these down on the floor. I had this new troll join my channel the other day. Oh God, he was an asshole. I couldn't believe it. I let him go for a while, then I finally blocked him. I was like, that's enough. My precious soul can't take anymore. But he was making fun of me. Told me I had gained a little muffin top. I stalked him out on Facebook. He has 42 friends. Loser. So I put those, can you probably, if I had somebody to operate the camera, they would zoom in right now and into this location. But I don't. I can't afford a camera woman. So I'm just gonna put that block underneath there, push this down into it, and since this piece will really never be exposed, this is all gonna be behind cabinetry. Honestly, I could just put some plywood on this and be good, but I'm gonna just do this because I feel like that's a good idea. So I'm just gonna use some big staples and hope to God there's no wires in there. There shouldn't be. There's a wire that runs here to here, and that didn't pop, so we should be good. And I'm just gonna work my way down. Make sure I'm tight to those blocks. Oh, do you have a fly in? Oh, I'm good at walking. So I got another piece. I cut it at whatever it was, 97 inches or whatever it was. Obviously my tongue is facing up and my groove's gonna go into it. I'm gonna check that groove before I bring it in and put it in place, because if there's paint or some other type of obstruction, it could affect this whole process. So I'm just gonna hold it up there. I should have probably left those little blocks in there so I could hit. I'm gonna leave these blocks in here so I can hit harder, because honestly these are kind of a pain. Oh, that was easy. First time it's ever been easy. So obviously I've ripped a bunch of pieces, meaning ripped, I cut it the lengthwise of it, and I ended up with like a long piece of just groove. I took that and I cut it into just some small blocks like this, so I can place it into that tongue and hit it down into that other groove. You don't want to be hitting onto the tongue directly because you can mash it, and when you do that, it's a pain. Let's put the next piece. So to start that first piece, obviously I was using some big honka-tonka staples. To nail the pieces in, I'm just using a small 18 gauge. I think they're 1.5 inch, maybe 1 3/8 staples. You could use a brad nailer, little brads and stuff like that, but staples are just gonna hold better over time. So I shall use the staples. So I'm gonna make sure I'm tight down there, I don't have any gap, and put a staple right into it, into every stud. I want to push it into the stud so I don't have a gap behind there, because these staples aren't going to drive that board in, and put it right into that corner right there. Sometimes you'll end up seeing the nail once you're done, but it's so small it kind of adds character to the house. Now they have special nail guns that are specially made for tongue and groove. They're literally just like this, but they cost like $150 more. There's just a different attachment on the front here. So I didn't buy it. Maybe one day I will. Now I gave myself a little bit of a gap on the end here. I still have to do this wall, so these boards are going to come in and cover up that gap. And then I think, I'm not positive yet, but most of the corners I'm going to be putting a trim piece on there, maybe like a 3/4 by 3/4 piece of material. I really don't want to have joints in the wall. I got a couple spots where I have to do it, but I'm going to try to avoid doing butting joints whenever possible. Now, like I said, this is all going to be behind cabinetry, my stove, my dishwasher, under the sink, the fridge, and all that stuff. So up here, I don't really care. From this point to here, I don't really care if I've got pieces in there. And I got a bunch of cutoffs from when I did that wall. So I'm just going to take those pieces and fill this in with little pieces. So we're just going to get started. I need 1, and then like 14.
Daniel, I don't think you're being very appropriate. I'm disappointed in you. I raised you better than that, Daniel.
So a while back I did two videos about tiny house tools, the tiny house essential tools. These 2 tools I didn't include in that. These are definitely going to be in part 3 of that series. But a chop saw and a table saw. These 2 things are going to make you work so much more efficiently, as well as your quality is going to go way up. They are both expensive. This is a $500 to $600 tool, but it is name brand, and it is like the cat's meow for chop saws. And then just a job site table saw, it's about $400. You can spend more, you can spend a little less. Anytime I need to rip something, I'm doing it on the table saw. Anything I need to cut something to a length, I'm using this. Anytime I need to notch something out, I'm using a jigsaw. That's really all that I need, except for some basic hand tools and the guns, the nail guns. So anytime I have 2 joints butting up against each other, I want to have a fresh cut. So I'm going to always make sure that when I cut my pieces, I got fresh cuts on both sides. If I'm thinking that I can do it a different way, but you should just always have fresh cuts on both sides. You would think that's trash, but no, I have pieces that are that small, so she'll save it. 40 3/4 and then 14. You see this stack of lumber I got? That'll work. I have an irrational fear of losing audio while filming a video. Ooh, we'll get artsy. Be like a Wrangler Star video. So I'm gonna make sure I'm half and half on this stud, on any stud. It didn't really matter. I should just need a couple because it's not so long. Couple whacks. You were always on my mind. So anytime I'm measuring a piece and I'm writing a number down, I always like to write it down above, especially like if I'm measuring from wall to wall and I've got to cut 9 or 10 of them. So what I'll do is I'll write that number higher above where that section would be finished. So no matter what, I'm not covering up my number and I don't have to remeasure later. So right down here I have a notch. I got a notch around this beam that's down here. You could measure if you want, but I like to do things this way, even though it's harder. It doesn't need to be exact. I'm gonna, of course, try. Oh, you know what? I can just put it in there. I'm gonna put a mark on the bottom of this beam, and I'm gonna measure from the wall to the end of this piece. I've got 1 1/8 inches. I'll come up here. I'll mark 1 1/8 inches, just a hair strong. Give myself a little wiggle room, and I'm gonna notch this corner out. I can use the multiple different tools. I know the camera angle on this is bad. I did it before and I was so embarrassed. You need to embrace your double chin, okay? You have more chins than the Chinese phone book. I don't make these jokes up. They're jokes that are told to me. They hurt me inside. I read them and it affects me. I don't really give a shit. I mean, I know what I've done to my body. I need one of them emergency buttons. I'm getting too old and fat. I've bent over and I can't get back up. How old are you, sir? 33. Oh God. So now this is where pain in the buttocks comes into play. Things are looking good. Oh, real good. Real good. Real good. Push it in, hit it down. Don't go crazy. When I put these blocks, I like to put them in between the studs, because if I were to hit this down. They're kind of hard to take off sometimes, and they're in the way of a stud when I want to put the nail in it. So whenever possible, I don't do that every time. You'll see me do the opposite of what I'm saying. Let's come down a little and come out. Still not good. Okay, let's redirect and action. Good. Oh, I got a major gap over there. I need a chisel. So I want to make sure my joint is tight over here. To slide it over, I'm just going to take a chisel and drive it in. There's only one person that's going to see that. So before I do my hardwood flooring in the house, I'm going to do a lot of like pre-work. I'm going to probably do a video like before where I do a lot of changes, but I'm about to do one of those changes I wanted to do in that video. So this piece of plywood that I put on here, as much as I love it, when I go to put that wall boarding on here, it's going to totally screw up where this beam's at right here. And I was going to be putting a piece of tread riser thingy majiggy here, some trim on this that's rounded on the edge and the floor runs into it. And I was thinking of having that continue and run all the way back. The fridge is going to come up to about here-ish, so there's just going to be a little bit of this seam, but I want to put that white beadboarding on this as well. So if I were to do that right on top of this, it'd be 1.5 inches thick, and it would look stupid down here. This would be a bad transition. So I think I'm going to take this piece off, and then I'm also going to take off this plywood top that I have on there, which means I bought a sheet of plywood for no reason. What was that, like $30 or $40? So I'm going to shut the camera off, drink a little bit more, and do that demo, and then get back to work. I don't think I'll ever be able to capture what it looks like. There's a time of day where the light's hitting the ceiling just right, and it looks like a damn diamond ring. I just licked it. I did. Do I have shame? Now that I taste it, yeah, I'm a little ashamed. I think I'm up to date on my Tetra shot. See, what sucks is I need to have this piece run all the way through here, which means I have to do this whole side. And if you can see, it's a disaster over there. I would have liked to finish this section and then do this section, but I can't. I got to come up to bring this piece across. And there's no way to do it. I could put a joint right there, but that joint will bother me for the rest of my life. All this is going to be covered up with stuff. There's going to be a backboard on all this, a backsplash. I can't wait till you see it. It's going to be so cool. It's going to be so cool if I can actually pull it off. I don't know if I'll be able to. 26 and a half. Yes, man! I don't like the camera angle per se, because it shows sloppiness. That's stuff I need. And a little bit of that. Got it. Little tight. Cops already showed up once here today. No, I'm not kidding. They did. What is this? Is this a pretty woman? Is she walking down the street? I have internet friends. Leave me alone. Well, don't work all night. No, I don't want to. There we go. So this is like the most crucial part right here, you know? This number needs to be identical. Let's go right from the tongue. 2 1/8. It doesn't, I'm telling you, it's not going to be good. 1.5 inches. Oh my God. God. That's too much. So thank the good Lord is I have a refrigerator going right here, and I think the fridge comes up to about here, and then I'm doing a backsplash. So this is going to be covered up with some stuff. I'm not going to tell you just yet, but it's going to be covered. So that massive gap that I'm going to end up with is going to be, oh God, I'm so disappointed. How did that happen? I know I'm used to dealing with things that are 1/2 inches, so I can make this work. I can deal with this. Mentally, no. Physically, been doing it for years. Holy, I can't believe I messed up that bad. Damn Daniel is what that is. So I'm gonna fix that. I'm gonna do some serious woodworking to make that work. That piece needs to be ripped a little bit and then a new groove put into it. So I have a nice straight course. Absolute pain in the ass to do that last little bit. That one piece right there is going to be the hardest piece in the entire house to do. I'm going to do it though. So you can see I fixed that piece. If you are very observant like I am, you can see that this is about 4.5 inches and these are 5.5. So it's slightly noticeable. Still don't know what went wrong. I have no idea what happened. I'm assuming that I messed up numbers down there. Probably is what happened. But like I said earlier, this is all going to have a backsplash on it. This is going to be covered up to about here. So this will never be seen. And I also had another piece that I had to do the same thing up top there. But that'll be covered with the range vent that I'm installing. Now I didn't go over this in the video, but when I did the outlets, I would just measure from the shoulder of the tongue side. Imagine my head being a tongue. In the shoulder, these parts, follow me? Everyone, does that make sense? Okay kids, everyone back in class. I measured from there to the bottom, and then I would get my length piece. I would always use the piece to get the side numbers and just put a small pencil mark, use my speed square and mark that out and cut it with a jigsaw. And I would do the same with the top piece that would go on there. I would hold it, bring it down to it, mark the sides, and measure up to it and get that. In most cases, you're not going to have your outlets already installed like I do, but if you do, you might have to take this piece out to get this piece in so that you end up really tight around here. You definitely don't want to be more than 1/4 inch away from your box. I wouldn't go more than 1/8. I don't want to use the jumbo plates. When you put these cover plates on there, they've got different sizes. They've got jumbo, and then they got like normal, large, small, medium, whatever. But there's different widths and heights on those plates. But I don't want the big ones. I want them to be small. So definitely shoot to try to get this as tight as possible. Make sure you give yourself expansion gaps on the sides as well as up on the top and the bottom. You can see I finished this wall and it looks pretty damn good. I did end up with some joints along the top here, but I will have some 3-inch trim that'll go here and probably a 1-inch trim there. So you'll see this small joint right here, which I'm alright with. The light will be there, so it will kind of hide it a little bit. Get the Bojangles out of there. That ain't gonna help. Any comments? No wonder you're fat. You get a bow box. That's pretty good stuff. I mean, I'm from Connecticut originally, and we don't have Bojangles there. I mean, their biscuits are pretty good. Clearly, they're pretty good. So I still have to do the entire bathroom, as well as these 2 walls here. The split mini needs to get finished. It's been a nightmare project. I'm sure I haven't done it yet, but I have a video on it that I'm not going to be posting onto YouTube because it's not really good. There's not anything good, but I'm going to eventually share that on my Patreon page. So if you want to check out that Just For You video about this, it's a horrible video. But wait, you're trying to sell Patreon and you're insulting it. It's a great video. It's really good. I mean, some of my best work. check me out on Patreon. Link's going to be in the description below. So yeah, I do have these walls to finish in here. If you want to watch those, let me know. This video is probably going to come out quite soon. So we're pretty close to being live on YouTube, or at least close to my up-to-date. But if you have any questions about installing that stuff, or you just want to watch me do some more work in here, I still have all that to do. So let me know in the comments that you want to see that. That's good. I know it's a mess. And then on the opposite side, I have this one wall, which I want to do an accent wall with. I've been thinking about reclaimed barnwood, something like that. I've also thought about involving you guys in this wall. So I haven't really thought about this completely, but I was thinking about sending pieces of this wallboard, unfinished, raw wood, about 2-foot sections to you. You can do whatever you want to it. You want to take like a license plate and bend it onto it, or paint something cool on it. Do anything crazy with this piece I send you. Obviously, you have to keep in mind that I might cut that piece. So if you're going to write something on it, make sure you put it into the center of the board so I can cut out the excess on the board. But I'll send that piece to you. You would send it back to me, and it would become part of the house, and it would be totally unique. It would be, I mean, there's probably maybe 200 pieces that would go on this wall, but I haven't priced out what it would cost to ship these pieces all over. I most likely wouldn't be able to ship internationally unless you wanted to pay for the charge on that. But if that's something that you think might be cool, let me know in the comments, and I will plan out more on that, and we can go from there. But I think that would be really cool to incorporate you guys into this house. Some of you have been following me since day one, almost 2.5 years. So to have a piece of you into this house would be cool. I don't really care if you're not artistic at all. I would be fine with, like, if you painted a board a solid color and maybe sanded it so the wood grain was coming through it. That could be cool. There's millions of different things that you could do to a piece of wood, different types of finish. You could do crackle, you could do spray paint, you could do all these different things. I don't want them to be too 3D. Definitely want them to be kind of flat, but interesting things that you could put onto the board to kind of make it your own, and then have it be part of the house. I don't know. I should test it out a little bit. I also did get my hardwood flooring in. This is some engineered stuff. It is very pretty, very expensive, very nice stuff. Right now these are acclimating to the house. Got to let them absorb the moisture and humidity in the air and get them ready to be installed. So that's a video that's coming up in the future. This stuff was expensive. This was, I can't say this is the most expensive purchase I've made on this house, but it was the most expensive single purchase I've made on the house. The siding cost like $3 grand, but I went and bought like $600 at a time, and then like the trailer cost me about $3 to $4 grand, and I went and spent $1,000 a time. But this I had to buy all at once because it was a special order, and it was $2,700 for 250 square feet. Do you have any idea how much that is? It's $11 a square foot. That's extremely expensive. But thank you so much, and thank you so much to General Finishes. You can see, guys, the ceiling looks absolutely amazing. I did put 2 coats of their oil finish on there, which is Armor Seal, if you want to look that up. And I also did the whitewash on the walls, and it looks beautiful. Obviously, my doors have been finished in General Finishes outdoor oil, and it's holding up really well. But General Finishes, definitely a great product, and you can see it's really turning into something great. But before I do any of this stuff that I was just talking about, I still have a lot of little things that I got to get ready and do, so you will see those videos coming up shortly. I'm going to start filming one right now, actually. But I hope you enjoyed this video. If you're new to my channel, make sure you hit that subscribe. If you like this video so much, please share it on your favorite social media. And as always, I will see you on the next video. Besides for the mess, I know, you try living in a tiny house while building it, but it's really coming together. I mean, can we get a little bit of the door in there? Like, get some of the door, and the colors are working together. Imagine that flooring on there. Holy shit. Kitchen appliances come this week. Kitchen sink should be at the front door waiting for me. Faucet's there. I can start building kitchen cabinets soon. I gotta do the flooring first though. Flooring is priority. And split mini, oh god. I do have a lot to do, but I'm happy with how it's turning out. I'm by no means a designer, and I've designed this. I've just put my special touches on it. I touched it just like my priest touched me.